The Season 6 patch notes for Disney Speedstorm are here, and we have some absolutely huge changes, including incredible balance adjustments to so many different racers, a huge change to the Trickster class, some massive improvements to the Season Tour, Season Boxes, and more. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Now, to start things off, Disney Speedstorm posted their Season 6 community pit stop. They said, "Hey Speedstars, Disney Speedstorm Season 6 Under the Sea, inspired by the animated classic Disney's The Little Mermaid, is approaching fast. The team has been hard at work making improvements to the game experience based on community feedback, and we're here to share them all with you." And starting off with the first change, we have an adjustment to the teleport skill. The duration of the teleportation granted by the teleport skill has been reduced and is now consistent. It is no longer calculated based on a player's distance from the racer in first place. The trail left by a racer using teleport is now longer and persists for a longer period of time to make it clearer to other players that someone has teleported. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this change is going to entail or what it's going to be like in game, but my general vibes from it is positive. I mean, seeing the trail for longer is obviously a good change because then you also get a speed boost from that trail. So that's really nice that you can clearly tell when someone has teleported. But I also think it being a fixed distance and not being able to teleport you into like second place or something like that is a huge advantage and something that the teleport skill didn't have, because before it would pretty much always put you in like second or third place right behind first place. But now it seems like it's just going to be a little bit of a boost forward. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see how it looks in game, but overall I think this is going to be a positive change and definitely get rid of some of the unfairness that the teleport skill has. Now moving on to racer balancing, the first category we have is Tricksters. Now this is a huge change, you guys. Dashing a rival with a Trickster class racer will no longer apply the hack skill effect to the rival racer. It will now grant the Tricksters a random level 1 common skill. So now, rather than Tricksters being super annoying and kind of useless by dashing into you and giving you a random hack effect that was pretty much ineffective against experienced players and super devastating for new players, now you get a random power up, which is super nice, and I think it's going to make Tricksters a lot better. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they are the best class in the game after this small adjustment. I mean, being able to farm power ups by dashing into opponents is a super strong ability, and I can't wait to see how it works in game and like how effective Tricksters are going to be now. But I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they go from being the worst class in the game to the best, and I'm super excited to hop in as like Aladdin and Figment and just try out this change. I'm really excited for it. Now moving on to the next category of racer balancing, we have Elizabeth Swan. The length of the trail effect from Elizabeth's charged unique skill has been reduced by 50%, and the duration of Elizabeth's charged unique skill has been increased by 1 second across all star levels. So her unique skill is going to last for 1 second longer, but the trail has been reduced by half, and I mean, thank God. Elizabeth has been an S tier racer since she was first released all the way back in Season 1, and this was largely due to the fact that her charged skill is just so powerful, and now that its length is going to be reduced by half, it's not going to be nearly as annoying to deal with and nearly as controlling, and I don't think she's going to be nearly as good of a racer. I could see her falling down to A or B tier due to these changes. Now next up we have Steamboat Mickey. The length of the trail effect from Steamboat Mickey's charged unique skill has been reduced by 35%. Manual boost is now granted to Steamboat Mickey each time a rival racer enters the trail of his charged unique skill. And Steamboat Mickey's top speed stats have been increased. So pretty much what they've done with Steamboat Mickey here is they've made his trail skill a lot less annoying by reducing the length of it by 35%. However, every time you do hit it now, Steamboat Mickey's going to benefit more from this. So I think overall it is a nerf to Steamboat Mickey, but to counter this, they've buffed his top speed stats. So I think overall Steamboat Mickey is just going to be less annoying, but I think he's still going to be about the same place on the tier list that he was before. I don't think this is going to be like an overall nerf to him, just kind of a way to make him less frustrating to race against, which is obviously a welcome change. I'm totally okay with that. Now moving on to Steamboat Pete. Steamboat Pete's acceleration and handling stats have been increased. So as we all know, Steamboat Pete is a super heavyweight racer, and driving with him is really hard. He's really kind of clunky and slow, which is part of his playstyle, but now that's going to be a little less prominent. He'll have the more acceleration and handling. Obviously, we don't know how much his stats were buffed by, but this is a very welcome change in my opinion. Now moving on to Racer Olaf. The length of the trail effect from Olaf's charge unique skill has been reduced by 35%, the duration of the stun effect from Olaf's charge unique skill has been reduced by 50%, and manual boost is now granted to Olaf each time a rival racer enters the trail effect of his charged unique skill, and Olaf's top speed stats have been increased. So this is pretty much the same thing as what happened to Steamboat Mickey. They've buffed Olaf's top speed and nerfed his trail pretty heavily, reducing the stun effect by 50 and the trail length by 35%. However, now he'll get manual boost when you hit it. So I think overall Olaf is going to be at about the same level of viability that he was before, but now he'll be way less annoying to race against, which again, obviously a very, very welcome change. And next up, we have Lilo. The trail effect of the charged activation of Lilo's unique skill no longer stuns rival racers, and Lilo's top speed stats have been increased. Now, Lilo did not get the same treatment as Olaf and Steamboat Mickey. They just straight up made her charge skill pretty much useless, which I'm totally okay with. Lilo was incredibly obnoxious, and now she won't be, and I think this is going to extremely hurt her viability unless her top speed buff was significant, like very monumental. I think overall this is just going to make Lilo a lot worse, which is unfortunate for her, but I'm totally okay with it as someone who does not play Lilo very much myself. Now moving on, we have Aladdin. Now this pains me. As someone who loves to play Aladdin, the speed at which Aladdin travels while the uncharged activation of his unique skill is active has been reduced by 15 kilometers per hour or 9 miles per hour across all star levels. So everyone knows Aladdin's uncharged carpet is just really strong. It puts you like on a bullet basically, and you just fly around the track. And now you won't be going quite as fast anymore, unfortunately. But I still think his skill will be strong. 9 miles per hour is kind of significant, but it's not like the end of the world. I think Aladdin will definitely be viable, especially considering how strong his charged activation is. If you know how to use it, I think Aladdin will definitely still be a powerful character. Now moving on to Jasmine, this is a very unique change and one that I was not expecting. So we have the duration of the normal activation of Jasmine's unique skill has been reduced by 20%. Jasmine is now invulnerable while the normal activation of her unique skill is active. The duration of the charged activation of Jasmine's unique skill has been reduced by 20%. The amount Raja moves while the charged activation of Jasmine's unique skill is active has been reduced by 10%. Jasmine now generates manual boost while the charged activation of her unique skill is active, and her top speed stats have been increased. So breaking this down a little bit, Jasmine's Tiger Raja, now whether you use normal or charged, the duration of Raja is down by 20%. However, and also when you use the charged activation, the amount that Raja moves around is reduced by 10%, so a pretty hefty nerf to Raja. But now when you use the normal activation, you get invulnerability. When you use the charged activation, you get manual boost, and her top speed stats have been increased. So while Raja is going to be significantly less annoying, I think this is going to make Jasmine a significantly better racer. I mean, invulnerability is a huge advantage, and the ability to get manual boost or invulnerability at a whim with her unique skill, and a tiger that will still stun people, granted for less amount of time, but I still think Jasmine is going to be way stronger than before, and then on top of all of this, they have buffed her top speed stat. I think this is just an overall incredible buff to Jasmine, and I'm pretty excited to play her after all of these changes. Now moving on, Kristoff got some pretty hefty balance changes as well. The duration of the charged activation of Kristoff's unique skill has been reduced by 1 second across all star levels. The amount Sven moves while the normal activation of Kristoff's unique skill is active has been reduced by 10%. Kristoff now generates manual boost for every rival racer Sven stuns while the charged activation of his unique skill is active, and his top speed stats have been increased. So this is kind of similar to Jasmine's changes, just to a way lesser extent. They've nerfed the duration and amount that Sven moves, and They've nerfed his logs that he throws behind him, but now Sven will give him manual boost when he stuns people, and his top speed was buffed, so overall I think Kristoff will be about the same level that he was before, which is a little unfortunate. I think Kristoff could have used a bit of a bigger buff, but we'll see how this change actually plays out in game. Now moving on to Ana, the duration of both the normal and charged activation of Ana's unique skill have been reduced by 20%, and the amount of manual boost that she gains from these skills has been reduced by 20%. So this is just a hefty nerf to Ana. She's going to be getting way less manual boost. For one, they're already happening for 20% less amount of time, but now she's also getting 20% less manual boost. So Ana probably won't be the boost queen that she was before this update, but I think she'll still be good. Her boost stat is already high enough. I don't know if this 20% duration and boost nerf is going to be the end of Ana. I think she could still definitely be a viable racer. Now moving on to Hans, these are some really questionable balance changes. I think the worst out of all of them. They gave Hans a buff to his top speed stat, and then they also made it that he is invulnerable while he does his invisibility power. Now, in my opinion, I thought Hans was already a pretty strong racer, but I think after these changes, Hans will definitely be top of the A tier, if not S tier. I would be surprised if he is any lower than that. Now moving on to Racer Belle, we have the duration of the speed boost granted by touching the birds while Belle's charged unique skill is active has been reduced by 20%. I don't know that Belle needed this buff. I didn't think she was that good of a racer. She was already in the B tier, and now she's going to be a lot worse after this nerf. Touching her birds just isn't going to be nearly as effective anymore, which is, I guess it's okay. It's not my favorite balance change by any means. Moving on, a balance change that I'm much more excited about for Beast. The Beast's acceleration and handling stats have been increased. Beast really needed this. I hope it is a hefty buff to his acceleration and handling stats, because he really, really needs it. Now moving on to Mike Wasowski, the teleportation distance granted by doors from both the normal and charged activation of Mike Wasowski's unique skill has been reduced by 10%. Now Mike had already fallen out of the S tier, but I am definitely all for nerfing him a little bit more. Now his doors aren't going to be nearly as effective anymore. Moving on to Racer Figment, both the normal and charged unique skill activations now grant Figment 1 speed boost star regardless of whether a rival racer is inside the skill's area of effect. This is an extremely welcome change. Everyone knows Figment needed some love, and now he's going to get a speed boost from his unique skill whether he hits someone with it or not, and then obviously if he does hit someone with it, he'll get even more of a speed boost. So this is definitely great, and I hope it's enough to make Figment a little bit more viable, at least get him out of the F tier. Please, he definitely needs this love. Moving on to Racer Hercules, the duration of the speed boost granted by both the normal and charged activation of Hercules' unique skill has been increased by 0.5 seconds. The duration of both the normal and charged activations of Hercules' unique skill have been increased by 1 second. So Hercules got a buff to his unique skill. He was already moving up the ranks, but I think after this buff, Hercules could see himself in the A tier or maybe even S tier. I'm not too sure how this is going to fully affect the meta, but definitely a welcome change, and I'm really glad that Hercules is getting some more love. Moving on, Racer Minnie Mouse, her top speed stats have been increased. Pretty simple change. We're not going to know how effective it is until we see how much her top speed stat was actually buffed, but I'm all for buffing Minnie Mouse. Racer Shang got a very similar balance change. Shang's top speed stats have been increased. Again, welcome change. Shang needed some love. Gotta see how much the top speed stat buff is though. And then finally, Racer Mowgli. The wolves from Mowgli's unique skill will no longer disappear if they collide with a rival racer's projectiles. Mowgli definitely needed a bigger buff than this, but it's a step in the right direction, so let's go for it, right? Now moving on to gameplay, we have stuns and walls and airlift momentum. They've made adjustments that should reduce the number of instances where racers end up trapped against walls after being stunned, and we've made adjustments that should reduce the instances where racers are unable to traverse areas such as the nets in the silver screen race environment due to a lack of momentum. These are just some nice quality of life changes that should make driving around a little bit better. I know we've all been frustrated like this before, where you're airborne and you have no momentum and it kind of sucks, or you get stuck against a wall. So hopefully those instances should happen a lot less than they did before. Now, this is an extremely welcome change, the Season Tour Chapter Preview. Players will now be able to preview locked Season Tour chapters. Upcoming race conditions and rewards will be visible, which will allow players to plan their progression better throughout the whole season. This is an extremely welcome change, and while it might not fix every issue the Season Tour has, it definitely fixes a lot of it, because now from day one of the Little Mermaid season, you can go look at chapters 10, 9, 8, all of the high annoying chapters, and see what racers you're going to need and how high of a level you're going to need to get them to, and then you can start playing the racer boost to star up and level up these specific racers and get them ready to gear up for the end of the Season Tour, which I think is going to be really, really nice and should help everyone out complete the Season Tour a little bit better. I still would like if the objectives are a bit easier this season, but this is a huge step in the right direction, and with the addition of Racer Boost this season should make it pretty easy to complete the Season Tour, assuming you have the racers unlocked in the first place. Now moving on, Racer Boost, Aladdin, the Genie, Jafar, Hades, Gaston, Kristoff, and Hans are now available to select in Racer Boost. We all knew this was coming, but it's just nice to have a little confirmation that we will be getting all of those characters in Season Tour, and now you can start grinding them up. I know personally I'm going to be working on Aladdin a ton. Now moving on to something for the shop, the season box is being split into seasonal racer specific boxes. Each of the new boxes will include racer shards for that particular racer as well as crew shards. Players will be able to use season box credits on any of the available season boxes. While the free Golden Pass track and seasonal time-limited event racers will have their boxes available for all players from the start of the season, the premium Golden Pass track and Season Tour racer boxes will only become available in the shop once that racer is unlocked. So this is actually a pretty interesting change. So now the season box is no longer going to exist, I think. I'm pretty sure there's only going to be 4 seasonal boxes now. There's going to be one for Ursula, Ariel, Triton, and Eric. Now, Triton and Eric's are going to be available for everyone right away, but Ursula and Ariel's aren't going to pop up until after you unlock them. So I think this is going to make it actually pretty bad for free-to-play players, as getting Ursula now is going to be next to impossible, as she will not be in the season box pool anymore. Rather, you're going to have to unlock her and buy the Golden Pass first. Granted, grinding out the Golden Pass, getting enough tokens to unlock it is totally worth it, but I don't know how I feel about this change. I might talk about it more in a different video, my initial update impressions. I gotta see how it fully works, but I think this is definitely a loss for free-to-play players, as getting Ursula now is going to be impossible unless you buy the Golden Pass, which, again, you can grind ranked multiplayer and get those tokens, but it's definitely a step down from what it was in the Frozen season. However, I will say, as a pay-to-play player, this change definitely does excite me, because now I can sort of ignore Triton, Ariel, and anyone else who I want, and I can just buy Eric boxes, or just buy Ariel boxes, or just buy Ursula boxes, and I can max them out way faster and get their specific crew member shards and stuff like that. So I'm definitely really, really excited for that, and I think that if you have all the racers unlocked, it's going to be a very welcome change that will let you choose how to progress a lot better. I gotta see all the drop rates on how it works first, but I am skeptical of this change, but I think it ultimately will be better, especially for pay-to-play players or anyone who is able to easily unlock all 4 of the season characters. I think it will allow you to choose your progression a lot better than before. Now moving on to the multiplayer coin box, it's being split into 2 separate boxes, one box containing plates, avatars, colors, and mottos for 200 multiplayer coins, and one box containing race suits, kart rivalries, kart wings, wheels, and victory animations for 600 multiplayer coins. So now you can kind of pick which cosmetics you want. Obviously the bad cosmetics are cheaper and the good ones are more expensive. I think I'm okay with this change. It's more choosing how you want to progress and unlock cosmetics, so I think it's totally okay. But there we have all of the changes for season 6. Let me know, what do you guys think? There were definitely a lot of balance changes and crazy stuff in there. I'm really excited to see how the new season boxes work. I hope that it doesn't mess things up for free-to-play players. I think getting Ariel is going to be really hard now, but overall, I'm really happy with these changes. I think the balance adjustments are really going to shake up the meta. The season tour changes are super welcome, and the season box changes are going to be interesting. But let me know, what do you guys think of everything in the comments below? Be sure to let me know, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.